London in the 1700s was a city of extremes, a booming metropolis of over 500,000 people, yet riddled with the chaos that would reshape the modern city. It was an age of dramatic change. Elegant squares rose in the West End, and architects like Christopher Wren rebuilt the city in grand style. Now, using advanced AI and careful analysis of actual 18th century paintings and engravings, we can recreate these scenes with unprecedented accuracy. By comparing surviving images and records, we step back nearly 300 years and experience the architecture, streets, people, and atmosphere as Londoners once did. What follows is an extraordinary bird's-eye view of the City of London from the mid-18th century, looking up the River Thames from what would later become the site of Tower Bridge. You are looking at the beating heart of Georgian London, the world's largest port and the centre of global commerce. Dominating the skyline is Sir Christopher Wren's magnificent St. Paul's Cathedral, completed in 1710 after the Great Fire of 1666 destroyed much of the medieval city. To the right stands the monument to the Great Fire, a permanent reminder of that catastrophe and the rebuilding that followed. The Thames is crowded with sailing ships and rowing boats. This river was London's highway, teeming with trade from across the British Empire. Notice Old London Bridge, still lined with houses and shops as it had been for centuries, a living artery between north and south. This view captures London at the height of its Georgian prosperity, when the city was transforming from a medieval town into the capital of an emerging global superpower. From One Tree Hill in Greenwich Park, we get the iconic northwest prospect toward London in the mid-18th century, a panorama that would later acquire scientific significance. In 1884, Greenwich was chosen as the location of the prime meridian, the line from which all longitude is measured. Below the hill, the elegant Queen's House sits framed by the grand colonnades of Greenwich Hospital, completed in 1751 as a home for retired naval seamen, Britain's version of Les Invalides in Paris. These Baroque masterpieces by Christopher Wren and Nicholas Hawksmoor were statement architecture, proclaiming Britain's dominance of the seas. Greenwich was the gateway to London for maritime trade, and from this elevated vantage visitors could survey the whole approach to the capital. The fashionably dressed figures in the foreground are taking in what was widely regarded as one of England's finest prospects, a view that has captivated artists and writers for over 3 centuries and remains virtually unchanged today. We move now to Leicester Square in the mid-18th century, one of London's most fashionable residential addresses. Dominating the centre is Leicester House, built in 1635 for the Earl of Leicester and later home to several members of the royal family, including Frederick, Prince of Wales. The square became a magnet for artistic genius. William Hogarth lived and worked at number 31 on the right, his door marked by a bust of Van Dyck, while opposite at number 47 Sir Joshua Reynolds would establish his portrait studio in 1760, painting the era's most influential figures. At the centre stands the equestrian statue of King George I, erected in 1753. By this period, Leicester Fields had transformed from open farmland into one of London's most desirable addresses, though its grandest days as a residential square were numbered. Within decades, entertainment would replace aristocracy as the square's defining character. Next, we arrive at the south bank of the Thames, looking across to the Tower of London, Britain's most formidable fortress, seen from the water that once served as both its moat and its highway. For over 700 years, the tower controlled access to the City of London from the river, its imposing stone walls a clear statement of royal power. The White Tower, the massive Norman keep at the heart of the complex, was begun by William the Conqueror in 1078 and built using stone imported from France. By this period, the tower performed many roles at once: royal palace, prison, armory, mint, and the treasury for the crown jewels. The waterfront you see here was the main entrance for prisoners arriving by barge through Traders' Gate, including Anne Boleyn and Sir Thomas More, before their executions. The various sailing vessels on the Thames remind us that this was London's commercial artery, with everything from royal barges to merchant ships moving beneath the tower's watchful gaze. Ahead, the bustling courtyard of the Royal Exchange in the 18th century comes into view, where global commerce converged in a single, magnificent space. Founded by Sir Thomas Gresham in 1565 and modelled on the Antwerp Bourse, the Royal Exchange was England's first purpose-built trading centre. Merchants from across the globe gathered in its open-air courtyard twice daily, trading sessions marked by the ringing of the bell in the tower above. Imagine deals shouted in dozens of languages, the rustle of bills of exchange, the scratch of quills on contracts. Arcaded walkways on multiple levels housed shops selling luxury goods, books, and maps, while Lloyd's of London ran its insurance business from those very galleries. This single building helped transform London into a financial superpower, a prototype that would inspire stock exchanges from New York to Hong Kong. A short walk away is St. James's Square in the mid-18th century, the pinnacle of aristocratic London and one of the capital's most exclusive addresses. Developed in the 1660s, it drew the wealthiest nobility. Dukes, earls, and prime ministers competed for residences here. What you see is Royal Gardener Charles Bridgeman's 1720s remodeling. He installed that elegant basin, 150